Hello everyone, welcome back for vlog number 14. These hands were recorded on Friday, February 17th, 2023. It's more 2-5, no limit at the Bellagio. Before I get into the actual hands, I wanted to talk about something that other vloggers have talked about as well, but that is running bad. And I have been running bad this year. In fact, before this vlog that's coming up right now, I'd only won one session, and that was my last vlog. That was just kind of a coincidence that that was the one I recorded. As you know, if I lose, I put those up in vlogs as well. But mostly, I want to talk about how that can affect you mentally when you're running bad and how it kind of translates to a lot of times playing bad. And I don't necessarily mean in a single session kind of setting where, oh, you get a bad beat and then you go on tilt. I'm not really talking about that as much as a prolonged running bad and how that can affect you mentally. Even when I'm running bad, I always feel like I'm gonna win when I go play poker. I think if you feel defeated, like you cannot win, you should not be playing. But even though I feel like I'm going to win, I have not been winning. And usually what's been happening is my sessions start out okay, or they start out bad by running bad, and then throughout the course of the session, eventually I kind of become impatient and start playing bad. I either feel like they're always getting there, or because of I'm afraid of them getting there, I play hands differently than I normally would play them if I'm not in the middle of running bad over prolonged sessions. Obviously, I don't hold myself out as a professional player. I do play a lot. I enjoy playing. Generally, I feel like I'm going to win most times. And I'd like to think that when I analyze and discuss hands on the vlog, that some people are benefiting from my analysis somewhat, or at least seeing how other people think about hands, and hopefully that's providing some enjoyment and some benefit to you. But when you're running bad and you lose a lot of sessions, and you're losing pretty decent amounts for each session. It's not like I'm losing $100 a session, losing, $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 a session. It starts to wear on me as someone who's trying to put out vlogging content, because I kind of feel like a pretender. So even though I don't hold myself out as a professional or anything like that, I've made that very clear. It still feels like, hey, if I can't win, why is anyone interested in watching me play poker? I'm just pretending like I know what I'm talking about, or I'm at least pretending like I might be better than your average casual player, along those lines. And it kind of messes with you a little bit mentally. I plan to keep making vlogs. I'm not stopping. I expect my run bad to turn around soon, but I just wanted to share some of that with you guys, and hopefully it'll turn around in this vlog. And if not this one, hopefully sometime in the near future. Thanks again for watching. If you enjoy them, please like and subscribe and send some comments. I always like chatting with everybody. And if you ever see me out there, please come say hello. I always enjoy talking to people who watch the vlog and enjoy the vlog. And without further ado, let's look at the hands for this one. All right, I sit down at a new 2-5 game that's starting up and buy in for the max 500.
Gerardo?
No. Do I look like Gerardo? After a brief case of mistaken identity, about 20 minutes in, I'm down about $50 and I'm dealt pocket jacks in the big blind. It gets folded to the button, who raises to 15. I 3-bet to 50 and the button calls. The flop is 4 of clubs, 10 of hearts, 6 of clubs, and that seems like a pretty great flop for jacks. No overcards seems good. The board isn't super connected. There's 2 clubs, but there's no straight out there. There are straight draws. It doesn't seem like there's going to be a lot of 2 pairs with 4, 6, and 10 out there, although the button raising range is probably pretty wide here when it folds to him on the button. I'm first to act. I bet 75, which feels like a real bet to me. There's about 100 in the pot, so 3/4 size bet, and he calls. The turn is the 5 of spades. That seems like a pretty okay card. It does connect between the 4 and the 6 there, but it's not a club. No straights get there except for 3-7, 2-3, or 7-8, which don't seem super likely. Again, possible. 7-8 would have been a double gutter, so that would be the most likely drawing hand. That's not a flush draw to call, I think, but It seems pretty okay to me. I only have about 325 left after the pre-flop raise and flop bet. I definitely don't want to check this turn card because it puts up even more draws to the straights along with the club draw, and I don't want to let anyone see cards for free. So I bet 150, and he goes all in for about 175 more, which doesn't feel great, but I don't think I can fold for 175 into this pot when I have an overpair on this board. It is a little bit more connected now, obviously, with the 5 of spades, but unless he called my flop bet with a set, in which case I'm already behind and I probably can't get away from my hand, or some random 7-8 or 4-5, 5-6, it just seems like jacks should be good. When he raises, I feel like maybe they're not good, but again, I don't think I can get away from it for 175 more. So I do make the call. The river's a brick, and he shows 4-5 of hearts for a turn 2 pair. I think this was pretty unlucky, to be honest. I don't think I can get away from an extra 175 on the turn, and he called a 3-bet with 4-5 suited to 50, which is fine, I guess, and then he called a bet of 75 on the flop with bottom pair and backdoor draws, I guess. Nothing, not too great of draws, but he ends up hitting the 5, and it works out for him here. So in about 20 minutes, I'm down my first buy-in, and it feels like the run bad continues. Sometimes when you're running bad, it affects your play not only in spewy, aggressive ways, but just in playing hands differently than normal or suboptimally, and here's one of those hands. About 20 minutes later, I have ace jack of clubs on the button. The under the gun player raises to 15, it folds to me, and I just call, and we're heads up. The flop is ace of diamonds, 2 of clubs, 8 of clubs. Flops don't get a whole lot better for ace jack of clubs. That's pretty huge. And he checks to me, and I think I should be betting this flop, even though I crush it so hard that I'm not afraid really of any turn cards. I probably should be betting for value, but I check this one back to disguise the strength of my hand, hoping that I can get him to bet future streets. I don't hate the check back here, but I think a bet's probably better. The turn is the 6 of spades, so that's not much of a help, but also not very scary. He bets 15, and I just call. I think this is worse than the check on the flop. I think this is just a mandatory raise here most of the time. Build a pot with what is probably already the best hand, and if a club comes, I for sure have the best hand. You know, barring pairing the board, potential full houses, things like that. But I'm not really worried about that. By the way, the hand's been played out so far. So I think I definitely should raise here, but I think this is just running bad, messing with my head, making me play bad, and I just call here. I don't think it's the biggest mistake ever, but I think I should be raising. The river is the 9 of diamonds, so that doesn't help at all. My hand still feels like it's probably good, but now I'm losing to a lot of medium aces, and he bets 20. And even though I think my hand's probably good, now I can't raise because I can't really get called by worse hands if I raise, probably, except maybe a slightly worse ace. Ace 10, ace 7, maybe those hands call me, but it's just as likely if he has an ace, he has 2 pair, or he has absolutely nothing. And so no, I can't really raise because a raise just makes no sense, and it's pretty thin value raising with 1 pair here with a jack kicker, even though I think it's probably good. So I frustratingly just call, and he shows ace 10, and I win the absolute minimum on a hand I should definitely have won more money, pipping someone with ace jack over ace 10, especially with a nut flush draw. And I hated the way I played this hand right when I played it, and when I went back and watched it to record this hand, I hated it even more. But you know me, I like to show hands I play bad, and there's quite a few of them, so I'm not cutting this hand. I'm putting it right front and center for you guys. When you're running bad, you have to try to still play good, and it can be hard to do. I add on for another couple hundred in there at some point. On this hand, I have queen 10 offsuit in the cutoff. It gets folded to me, and I raise to 20, and the big blind raises to 40, and I call, so we're heads up, and the flop is 10 of clubs, 9 of spades, king of spades. I do have middle pair with a gut shot, so I have middle pair, and I've got some backdoor action going on there. He bets 30, and I call. when this particular player basically min raises me pre-flop, I put him on a pretty small range of hands, including big pairs, things like ace king. I don't think he's ever 3-betting with suited connectors, middle-sized suited connectors, or pocket sevens or something like that. So I feel like there's a decent chance I'm behind on this flop. The turn is the 5 of hearts. That doesn't seem to change anything. He bets 50, and here I kind of narrow his range down to just those few hands I talked about. It could be jacks or queens. I think it's more likely ace king, possibly aces. It could be kings also, but that seems not as super likely just because the odds of flopping a set are not that great. So I kind of take an unconventional line here and raise to 150, thinking that it'd be pretty hard to call on this board. I think if you just had something like ace king or pocket queens or pocket jacks, maybe even aces, it's tough to call because king 10 is totally in my range. Pocket nines and pocket tens are totally in my range. Jack queen is totally in my range. There's just a lot of hands I can have here that I don't think he's ever going to have, other than maybe pocket kings. And so I raised to 150, thinking that it'd be pretty hard for him to call me with any one pair kind of hand. It's a very scary looking board. There's just a lot of things that beat one pair. So I figure if he's got kings, I get called. If he's got any one pair hand, I think maybe someone could fold a one pair kind of hand here. So he tanks for not too long, and he shoves all in for another 173, which is just slightly more than my raise to 150, of course. But now I feel like I have to be behind, and obviously I'm not pushing him off his hand. I do still have a gut shot. If he's only got one pair, I have quite a few outs to any queen, any 10, any jack for a straight, assuming that those don't make his hand better, of course. And if I'm up against a set, I'm really drawing thin. But I don't know. For 173, I'm pretty confused, to be honest. His raise doesn't make a ton of sense to me because I just don't think he's ever going to have jack queen here. Maybe he's got pocket kings and he's got a set of kings, and I could see that, but I think it's pretty hard to shove ace king or even aces here over the top of me. But I guess with 173 left, his thinking is if he's going to get the money in, he can get the money in anyway. So I think for quite a while, actually, because the bet just doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I don't think he can ever be bluffing. I don't think my 10 can ever be good. I just think that maybe he is overvaluing whatever hand he has, but clearly he's valuing it appropriately because I only have second pair with a gut shot. So I end up folding after tanking for a while, and he shows pocket aces. So that was one of the hands I thought he might have, and I don't know. I guess maybe sometimes I think people can fold things like one pair to a lot of aggression. There's so many hands I could have in that spot that beat pocket aces, and most of the time when I make that raise, I am going to have one of them. But I guess he either doesn't know that or didn't care. Just kind of thought, hey, I have aces, I'm never folding. And that's on me. I should know that this kind of player is probably not going to fold one pair. He probably would have called with ace king also. It's basically the same hand at that point. So even though I put him on a range of those particular hands, I outplay myself, and I end up losing an extra 150 when I could have either folded or just called 50 to see if I spiked a river. And yeah, that's how this session's going. I am keeping this vlog pretty short. There were obviously a lot of hands I played that are not making the vlog. I had a lot of playable hands this night. Queen king, jack queen, lots of hands like that where I either played small pots and won or played small pots and lost, but nothing super interesting happened. So I streamlined this video a little bit just to show you what I think are the most interesting hands, give you an idea of how my night went. And also my session wasn't that super long like they normally are, so I usually try to tell a little bit of a story as to how my night goes, as opposed to just showing you the interesting hands. I try to show you how the evening of poker went for me, but this night there just wasn't a whole lot going on for me. So that leads to the last hand of the night. I've added on a few times, so I'm in for a total of 1,300 come to this last hand. I switched tables at some point because I wasn't running super great at the other one, and the game just didn't seem that great overall. There were obviously some people who were putting in money, but it was, I would say, the exception, not the rule. So I switched games, and that leads into this final hand after I've been at the new table for not too long, I don't know, 20 minutes or a half hour or something. I have Queen Jack of spades in the cutoff. The hijack limps, I raise to 25, and the big blind calls and the hijack calls. The flop is Jack of diamonds, 4 of spades, 4 of diamonds. That seems like a pretty great flop for Queen Jack of spades. So it gets checked to me. I bet 55 and only the big blind calls. I don't think the big blind's almost ever going to have an overpair to jacks here. He could have something like ace jack or king jack, I suppose, or any other number of hands, but it seems like queen jack is probably good here. There's 2 diamonds on the flop, so I think he could be on a diamond draw, but not entirely sure. The turn is the 9 of hearts. That also seems like a pretty great card for me, although some people, myself included, do like jack 9. He checks to me. I have about 320 left, and I bet 115. Again, I don't want to let any straight draws get there, and I don't want to let diamonds draw for free. And then he puts me all in for my last 205. I'm once again confused. Guy called a raise to 25 out of the big blind. He could have a 4, something like an ace 4 suited. He could have a better jack. I don't think he's ever going to have an overpair. I kind of, in this spot, this guy's been playing kind of aggressively, think that maybe he's got some sort of combo draw that just wants to push me off of my hands. Something like 10 queen suited, or maybe queen king suited that has a straight draw and a flush draw. But I'm not really sure. I'm pretty confused. I only have 205 left, and I think maybe I can fold this hand for 205 because I've put in about 200, though I have about 205 left. I don't know, the pot's getting pretty big. I'm not sure what I really beat with the jack other than a combo draw, but again, this guy's been playing pretty aggressive, been raising a lot with draws and things, so I call thinking that maybe he's got a combo draw. If he doesn't got a combo draw, clearly I'm behind. No one's ever putting me all in here with a worse jack, I don't think. So it's either a combo draw or I'm just being crushed. The river is a random brick, and he shows 4-5 of hearts. That's right, I lose about $1,000 on the night to exactly 4-5 of hearts. The moral of the story here is never fold 4-5 of hearts. It's always going to hit something, and you can just bust people with it. So don't be folding it. I don't know. I think I could have gotten away from this one on the turn when he shoves and saved my last 200, but again, I thought a combo draw was possible. I don't want to fold every time someone raises me. Obviously, there's something they call monsters under the bed where you are always afraid that people are getting there. And when you're running bad, it often is that people are always getting there. That's why you're running bad. And I think sometimes what happens is you get what I call reverse monsters under the bed syndrome, which is you know that monsters under the bed is a thing, so you don't want to fold every time someone raises or gets there because you think they can't always get there. These people are probably just representing hands that aren't there. And so you end up calling, like I did on the turn here, thinking it's got to be a combo draw, or most likely a combo draw, and they roll over 4-5 and they have a hand. So when you're running bad, it's really kind of a mind screw as to what's going on, whether you should be calling people because they're bluffing or whether you should be folding because they're always getting there. But that's the way this one ends up, down 1,300. Been a really bad year so far, hoping it turns around sometime soon. But we'll see come next vlog, which, by the way, has not been recorded yet, so your guess is as good as mine. Is the run bad going to continue? There's some sessions after this vlog that I didn't record that I also ran bad. So I continue to run bad, probably playing bad also, but maybe the next vlog I'll be able to pull out a victory. Here's hoping. All right, so those were the interesting hands from this session. Got beat up a little bit and probably played those hands pretty bad as well, at least some of them. Go ahead and let me know what you think about the hands against the 4-5 of hearts. Both of them, I'm not sure that on the first one I can ever get away from it. The second one, maybe I can get away from it. But feel free to discuss with me what you think I did right or wrong on the hands on this vlog. After this vlog, I also played some more sessions that were not recorded. I played some 1-3 at Win. I did not win those. I played 1-3 at Resorts World, and I was doing okay in that session. I was up a couple hundred, and then I switched tables to a better game, and I flopped 2 sets in about 20 minutes. And those were the first sets I flopped in quite a while, it feels like. And I lost the absolute maximum on both of them. On the first one, it was heads up and he turned a flush. And on the second one, I got set over setted. I flopped a set of 5s against a set of queens, and we both turned a full house. Nothing you can do there, you're just gonna lose money, but the running bad kind of continuing, and I'm trying to not let it bleed into me playing bad, but as seen in this video and as discussed a little bit throughout, I think it kind of messes with your mind a little bit. Every time I go out, I go with the plan of resetting everything and not letting prior sessions affect me. So hopefully that'll happen on the next vlog, which I plan to record pretty soon. It'll probably be more 2-5 at Bellagio. You can see my losses on the screen. Not great so far this year. Not fun to go through lots of losing sessions in a row. I think I've lost something like 8 out of 9 this year. Not enjoyable, but hopefully that turns around soon. That's the plan. I'm gonna not let it get me down, and that's part of playing poker. You know, you take winning sessions and streaks, and you gotta ride through the losing sessions and streaks and try to minimize your losses. I have not done that super well so far, but the plan is to get back on track here soon. And if you're liking the vlogs, please like and comment and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.